Next up, we have the California State PTA. And while it may not have student in the name, there's still plenty of room for student leaders. In fact, almost all PTAs in high schools are actually organized as PTSAs, and the S stands for students. Students serve on the governing boards of at least 325 high school PTAs across California. At the state level, student members like Maya Bhandari help to inform the organization's policy decisions. Maya is joined today by the president-elect of the California State PTA, Shereen Walter, who is returning for her third appearance on the Ed100 virtual stage.
Hi, I'm Shereen Walter, the president-elect for California State PTA.
Hello, my name is Maya Bhandari, and I am part of the Student Involvement Committee for the California PTA.
And we're here to talk to you guys today about what PTA does as an organization and why you might want to be involved as a student member. And so I'll start first with mentioning what California State PTA is all about. Our mission statement is to positively impact the lives of all children and families. And so we do that in a variety of ways. We do it by putting forth legislation in the areas of education, education funding, health, community concerns, family engagement, everything that comes from schools and our communities. And you guys are also probably familiar with PTAs at the local level, because at the local levels, PTAs work to provide programs that enhance what schools can provide for the kids in their schools. And so at its core, that's what PTA does. So I'm going to let Maya talk to you a little bit about what student board members at California State PTA do and what her involvement's been. So Maya, take it over.
Yes, so I am a graduated high school student, but PTA has been an amazing outlet for me to give the student perspective and input in the California PTA, as well as discover some of my passions and actually act on them. I've been able to write a resolution on something that I'm extremely passionate about, which has allowed me to write a resolution, do research on it, but then go to convention and actually get it passed on convention floor without any opposition. And this is really great because PTA has helped guide me and lead me through this whole process to make a larger impact and have the larger community of PTA advocate for this resolution as well. In addition, I've enjoyed just bringing student perspective into daily meetings and leading convention workshops where we've talked about mental health and how important student mental health is, as well as college readiness and so much more.
Maya, you mentioned that it was something that you were passionate about, but do you want to tell the student leaders at this conference what your resolution was about? Because it was pretty cool.
Yes, so I wrote a resolution trying to include plant-based meal options in all school lunches based on equity, health, and the environment. And so combining those three things, I went and presented it to the PTA, and it now got passed, which means that the PTA will help advocate as well for schools to include plant-based meal options.
So it's really a start. It's a start for us to start doing our advocating at both the local level and the state level around making sure that a plant-based diet is included in schools for our kids. So, you know, it was pretty cool to watch Maya because she's downplaying that she spoke on the convention floor about this. She did that, but even sort of like on a smaller scale, she had to do what we call resolution hearings, where she was in a room with PTA leaders who wanted to ask questions about the resolution and totally understand it so that they could vote for it. And I think that she did a really good job answering the questions and concerns that parents had. And that was obvious because it didn't get any opposition on the convention floor, which was really nice. That doesn't happen very often. And Maya, the student voice, so you often get to give your student voice on issues that impact kids. So it helps to inform our decisions, right?
Correct. It's been amazing being part of PTA because for the resolution, I've been able to do something quite impactful, and the PTA made it really easy to do so. I had mentors guiding me throughout the entire resolution process. And so even if you don't want to write a resolution, just being able to speak your voice and have your perspective included in the work of PTA is quite meaningful, and you feel like you're helping make positive change.
Yeah, and I think that our students are, and that's why we're so thrilled to have them participate. So I want to talk to you guys about how you could become a student board member. There's an application process. Applications are actually closed May 15th for this year, so the timing of this conference doesn't work very well for you guys. But if you're involved at your local PTA level, you can be keeping your ear to the ground, because we'll send out applications for student board members sometime in March and April, and then those applications are due by May 15th. And then your commitment is for the year from July 1st through the end of the year that ends June 30th. So Maya will be done with us, for instance, on June 30th. And the commitment is 4 board of managers meetings a year that you travel to, 2 in Southern California, 2 in Northern California, and then some committee work that you do on the side. So Maya, you mentioned that you guys did 2 workshops at convention, which I saw both of them, and they were fantastic. What else has the Student Involvement Committee worked on?
We have helped just give student voice to different legislative things that are getting passed, as well as plan how to include more student voice in the PTA and educate our parents on how students are feeling.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, do we have anything else that we want to make sure to tell these student leaders about PTA, why they would want to choose us as an organization to be involved with? And Maya, have you been involved at all at your local PTA?
Yes, so I've somewhat been involved in my local PTA, but I became way more involved when I got to the California Board of Managers. But I think that as a closing, it's been great to be part of the California PTA, because you're not only making an impact in like your city or town, but you're truly making an impact across the entire state, which is quite meaningful.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right.
Yeah.
So we thank everybody for watching us and for joining us today. And please let us know if there's any questions that we can answer. We can be emailed. Ed100, I'm sure, is putting out our contact information, so feel free to email us if you have any questions. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Shereen and Maya, for that incredible presentation. And we also have the honor of them joining us live today. So welcome, Shereen and Maya.
Hi. Hi. Thank you, Alvin.
Alrighty. So let's kind of get right to it. The first question is, you've obviously been very involved from PTA, not only from a school site level, but all the way up to the highest echelons of the state PTA. From your experience, I guess it's a 2-part question, but 1, why is student voice so important? And number 2, what are some great things that you've seen that have come out of student voice being present in these spaces and within these PTA sort of school site council meetings?
Those are great questions, Alvin. I'm just returning from National PTA Convention in Washington, D.C., and one of the student board members of National PTA did a fantastic poem on stage. And his poem was really meaningful and hit right to the heart of your question, which was, he said, how can you advocate for us when you don't even ask us what we need? And I think that's a really valid point. Parents, we want to think we know what's best for students and children, but you know what, we don't always. And so it's so important for us to have that feedback and have that student voice, so that we really are speaking not only from our own parent perspective, but from the perspective of students as to what they need. And some of the things that I've come out of the importance of hearing the student voice is, I think, particularly because I am a former VP of Health and Community Concerns, so mental health was a big thing for me and still is. I think hearing from students about what they're really going through in terms of mental health really helps us when we're sitting down with legislators or with the Department of Education or anybody talking about what they need and what we want schools to provide for them, because we don't know unless we're hearing your voice.
That's incredible. And another two-part question being thrown your way.
You're challenging me, Alvin.
I know. I guess the first question is, Maya is obviously the student position on the state sort of governing board for PTA. So the first question is, how can students apply or attain that position? And the second question is, are there levels of student involvement at all different bureaucracies of the PTA in California?
That's a good question. I'll answer that one first, because the ability for students right now to become involved in PTA, it's a better time for the local level, because locals are just, they're just putting together their boards. So a student could contact their local PTA at their school and say, I'm interested in serving. What do you have available? Mm-hmm. And, there's still committee chairs being formed in places that students can be slotted in. Our state process is a little more regimented than that, and we're actually in the process of reviewing applications that we've already received, and we'll be making those announcements soon. So it's late in the process, as I think we said in our presentation. So students would have to watch in March or April, applications come out, and that's where we select our student board members from those applications. So I think that the really good thing to do if you're interested in PTA is to start at your local level and see what they've got available.
Gotcha. Another student asks, have you seen racial inequality in the diversity of student board members that have sat either even on the state PTA or even at PTAs at the school site level?
I think that's a great question. And I'll be honest, since I'm now at the state level, it's been a while since I've been at a school level. And I admit that the school that I was a part of wasn't that diverse. And so I didn't see diversity. We have a lot of good diversity in terms of PTA members. Our student board members, I'm going to be honest, Alvin, what happens is we get a lot of applications from children of board members, because they're the ones who know about it. So right. You guys Ed100 is doing us a great service at making sure there's a lot of students who know about our application and that they can apply. So we haven't had diversity in that way, but we certainly do look for diversity. And that's important to us, because that is California, it's the nation, and diversity, equity, and inclusion is a really important thing to California State PTA.
All right, and final question for you today, but what motivates you and keeps you going in this work, sort of leading California PTA? Because obviously this is all volunteer-based.
It is all volunteer, and it's a lot of hours, I'll say. I think what keeps me motivated are two things. Number one, I think that even all of you students who are involved in things know that one of the things that you stay involved in something is that you're with like-minded people who care about the same things that you do, and you're all working towards a common goal, and that's really inspirational. The second thing I would say is that just knowing that, like some of the speakers I've listened to before, that we make a difference when it comes to things like legislation or what happens at a school site or how we protect our kids, knowing that we can actually impact those things, I think is really rewarding. And so, we all want what is best for children and families, and PTA can make that happen.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Shereen. And I think I echo a lot of my fellow students when they say that it's very touching to see the president-elect of the California State PTA so supportive of youth voice in education. So that means a lot.
Thank you, Alvin.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks.
Bye,
okay. Bye-bye.